Okay, how are you guys doing? I'm well. I cannot complain. All right, so let's settle down. Let's sit down. All right, guys. All right. So how are you today? Hi. So it's a short unit. It's actually an introductory unit to the unit set. And then you'll see. So I believe your assignment is learning unit what? Yeah, assignment. Not one to six. Not 1 to 6. The test might be 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. Yeah. So I think the test is 1 to 4, and then the assignment is 1 to 6. But remember, the assignment comes after, isn't it? The assignment is sometime in April or something like that. Or is it May? I don't know if you guys have. That's fine. So after this, you'll see we'll tend to progress a little slower. We'll start to do certain activities in class and not necessarily go over more content. But I wanted to obviously be in a position where at least you can do both your assessments, isn't it? Super. So, yep. We're now in the next learning unit or the next chapter. Okay. And this one is the Introduction to General Management. Introduction to General Management. Very short. You could say it's almost like an introductory or a pivot on your chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10. So what are we going to be learning, picking up on in this learning unit, okay, for this chapter? It's going to give us an overview of the role of management in businesses. It describes the 4 fundamental management functions, namely planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. And if you had business management in high school, I'm sure those functions are not brand new to you. Then it's going to explain the management process, okay? Then we're going to look into the different levels and functional areas of management in the business organization, okay? Then describe various schools of thought in management, and then finally the development of management theory. Okay, those last 2 are quite closely related, or linked. Okay. Now, the purpose of this chapter is to examine the general principles involved in the management of business. Okay. This is done by looking at various roles and functions of management, but not only roles and functions of management, also the management process as well. Okay, so we're not just looking at the roles and functions, but also the process. Okay, now why is management important? All right, it's important because management obviously then gives the business purpose, obviously through overseeing the actions that take place within the business, isn't it? Okay. Then, on top of that, you tend to find that poor management is the cause of a lot of failure. Okay, the reason for a lot of failure, right? You often find that there's this saying that they have in relation to small business entities, and they always say you need to be outside of your business and not in your business, right? And they often say that to the entrepreneurs. So the trend that you often see with small business owners is that they are everything to their business. Okay? So because you obviously get bogged down with the day-to-day activities, right? You don't have time to actually look outside of your business and see how can we actually make this thing grow? What are the strategic things that need to take place in order for us to do things better, in order for us to provide better quality? Because you're so busy in just trying to get the task done, deliver the product, deliver the service, you can't take time to conceptually see what are the steps and processes that need to take place, and then obviously get those executed. Does that make sense? So obviously, as a result, that is why they say you should not be in your business, but you should be looking at it from an overall perspective. Okay. So obviously, if you're deeply entrenched in those respective activities, then there's going to be poor management. All right. Right. Going on, success can be attributed to its sound management principles, practices, and managers at all levels of the organization. And this is why companies always want to set a culture so that despite your role, despite what manager you are and where your hierarchy is, you're still seeking excellence, still demanding the very best. Whether it's we're all steering in the same direction. Then here they say management is therefore indispensable. Would you say management is indispensable? Would you agree that it is indispensable? Would you agree that management is indispensable to any business?
No, sir.
Okay, unpack. Tell us.
No one is irreplaceable.
No one is irreplaceable.
Yes, sir.
I actually like that thought, but what about their roles? Because yes, we can get another manager, right? There's plenty of individuals that have the same qualifications, specializations. What about their role? Is their role indispensable? Can we just say we're no longer having
of management as a whole?
Sorry?
How a business is run on a day-to-day basis. The role, if it is that way, I agree. It is indispensable.
So the role is indispensable,
Yes.
but the individual is dispensable.
Yes, sir.
Do we agree? Are we in alignment? All right, yes. So I fully agree with that. All right. The role is indispensable, but the individual is obviously dispensable. We obviously mean this from the business sense. We're not talking to actual human beings. This isn't. All right. So, as highlighted earlier, management obviously directs the business towards its goals. Okay. In addition to that, it sets and keeps the operations of the business on a balanced course. In other words, paying attention to all the priorities, not just being fixated on one, two, or three of the key priorities. And then management keeps the organization in equilibrium with its environment. Okay, and we spoke quite a bit about environment yesterday. Okay, right. And then finally, it says management is necessary to reach the goals of the organization at the highest possible level of productivity. All right, and this is now the difference maker. Okay, if you can afford management, right, this is why you want them, because then you know that you're optimizing your resources, you're optimizing your time, you're optimizing all the resources that you have in your arsenal within the business. Okay, then here they're just looking at the basic resources used by an organization. Okay, and I think we may have seen this in our earlier units as well. Okay, I think the only one that is kind of standing out that might be brand new is the information resources. Financial, physical, and human resources is definitely not new to us. Okay. So now here, I want us to just take the definition, and then I think the slides that follow will actually unpack those 4 key points. So here, management is the process of activities that are carried out to enable a business to accomplish its goals by employing human, financial, and physical resources for that purpose. So here you can see how they're then nicely connecting the dots to our resources, right? And then obviously the activities that take place. So just take note of those keywords when you are now defining what is management. Okay, what is management? So if they ask you a question like what are the benefits or what are the disadvantages of management, or something in connection with management, you can start by defining management and then obviously speaking to the core of what the question has asked you. Okay, so definitely take the time to know those, know that definition. So here now we're talking about what does management actually do? What are the activities? Okay, basic functions of management. Okay, and we did say when we were looking over the outcomes that we were obviously going to cover in this learning unit, that they are 4 fundamental functions. All right, that are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. That in a nutshell is what they do. Okay. But what are they actually doing in those respective functions? And here on the activities, you can see they begin to unpack. All right, management decides what should be done. Okay, very important. All right, we have put together our vision, we put together our mission, but then what is going to be done in order to achieve this vision? All right, in order to start fulfilling our mission. Okay, that takes place in planning, deciding what should be done. Then management decides how it should be done, organizing. All right, you need marketing to do this. All right, so that we can have our products inform the market of the products that we're offering. All right, we need operations to do this so that we can have our products ready for sale, right, on our shelves. Okay, we need finance to do this so that we have the necessary capital to execute our activities. That's what we're talking about when it comes to organizing. Okay, who, how are these things to be done? Then leading, management says how and when. Okay, so basically deadlines of when these different activities must be completed, isn't it? But then it's not enough for us to set deadlines. There comes a point in time where we actually need to see, has this work actually been done? And that's where control now comes in. It's the evaluation. Have things been done? Have they been done to the standard required? Okay. Could we have done things better? Maybe we didn't actually do the right stuff. Okay. Maybe we didn't plan the right activities. And this is why you see that this is a cycle. It's not just a once-off activity. You are continuously planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Any thoughts? Any thoughts there? That. Active. Okay. All right. All right. Let's proceed then. Okay. So now here, they're looking at the different levels and types of management in a business organization. Okay. Tell me, why does it get narrower as we go to the top? Yes.
Because the top management starts having less not influence, but has to do less work on those sections.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
No, yeah. We're going to do this. Thank you.
The beauty of the top development. Order 5 was like brings the business in a certain direction
Mhm.
compared to the lower business. Really just carry out day-to-day actions.
The managers.
So 100% what you gentlemen said, specifically to this diagram, but what you guys said is also correct in general. Okay, so we have fewer people, individuals at the top management level. We have more managers at the middle level, and then obviously when it comes to supervisors and lower level management, we have plenty of those. Okay, and then there we just have the functional areas of management. Okay, so that there is your diagram. Okay, that there is your diagram. Okay, nothing too complicated there. And then here now they're starting to unpack what some of you were already speaking to. Our top management, smaller group, okay, and they are responsible for the business's mission and goals. Okay, so they just conceptual. This is what we want to do here at MSA Insurance. Okay, this is who we want to serve. Okay, then middle management will now have to come up with policies, plans on how are we going to serve this client base that we have selected that we want to serve. All right, how are we going to deliver these products? What's the strategy that's going to be implemented by this business? Now, lower management is responsible for still smaller segments of the business, for example, various subsections that are part of a department. And their key role is to merely check, are the people within the team doing what needs to be done in order for us to fulfill the strategy that middle management has provided to us. Okay, so it's not rocket science, it's pretty straightforward, né? Nothing complex here. Okay, now here they're just now speaking to functional management areas. Okay, now functional means that obviously you specialize in a certain area. Okay, you're not responsible for everything. You're responsible only for specific management activities. All right, that obviously fall within your function. All right. Okay, so if you're the logistics manager, then your focus would be on things like distribution and how your product is then obviously delivered to the customer. Okay, all right, or how the product or raw materials get to the business before we then process or produce our. Then here, very beautiful expanded explanation of what general management is. Okay. Firstly, they say differs from other specialized functions in that it integrates all the other functions. Okay, it deals with the activities of top management while at the same time manifesting itself in other functions management. Manifesting itself in other functions, I think, of management is supposed to be. Okay. Then, lastly, it says the overriding function that controls the management process and the general principles of management as applied by top management. Okay. So it has a very overarching approach. Okay. It then obviously looks at the various parts and brings them all together. Okay, I can't help but think of entrepreneurship when I think of the way they have unpacked general management. Okay, and then here, you guys tell me, what are they actually talking to? What is this diagram telling us? Okay, and I see there it says fig 6.4, the skills needed at various managerial levels. What are they actually trying to make us aware of? Let's unpack you. Yes. Somebody said so. What are they trying to tell us? the importance of each what? Each task. So what is this thing? Writing off the back of what you just said. What is this thing? What is conceptual, interpersonal, technical? What are those? Put the hand up. Are you answering my question?
Yes, it's
So conceptual is theoretical. Theoretical, I'm guessing. Like
No, what are all of them? I was just mentioning each of them, but what are they? They're skills. So what do we see in our diagram? 100% they're skills, okay, in a nutshell.
yes, sir.
All right. So what are we saying now about the skills required if you're in top management? What are we saying about the skills required if you are in middle or lower or in work? There's different levels of skills that 100%, okay? So we're basically saying there's different levels of skills required depending on which management level you are at, okay? Or if you're just an employee, if you're just a worker, all right? Now, let's unpack.
Yes,
Why do we need less conceptual skills as a worker than we need in top management?
Oh, don't we need more conceptual skills as the worker?
So you're saying you disagree with that?
It's like, the top management. Say that.
Top management, you can see there's more taken up by conceptual, isn't it? We all agree that this is about skills, right? Okay. Yes, let me take your hand. Are you answered? You didn't hear. So he's saying, as a worker, you don't need to be thinking about too many things. The guys at the top are the ones that conceptualize. Am I articulating what you said? And then you, what do you do then as a worker? What's your role? You just
Implement.
what they told you to do. How do you read the diagram? So, very good question, because this is where maybe some of us are being lost. Do you want to answer that? How do we read the diagram?
No, I don't want to answer that. It's just a separate question.
It's a separate question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll come to you and then we'll come to the fact. Okay. So how we read the diagram, we know these are all skills. Right? We only have 3 skills that we're really looking at. Conceptual, interpersonal, and then technical. Okay. So here we're basically saying we need more conceptual skills. And when we say conceptual, basically ability to think, envision certain things. Does that make sense? And then here you can see it's pretty much the same proportion across the board in terms of interpersonal skills, isn't it? And then finally we have technical, all right? And you can see that like conceptual varies depending on which management level or if you're just an employee, okay? So the more, the broader a certain skill is within any of the categories, that means the more of that skill is required at that level. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So this is now why the gentleman there was now unpacking why as an employee you wouldn't need as much conceptual skills as a top level manager. And then he had some questions.
I mean, I think.
So your answers now, huh?
So like these 3 diagrams in the
Oh.
So you see the top management.
Yes.
It's technical, which ends with
Mhm.
interpersonal, which ends with interpersonal, and then conceptual, which ends with conceptual.
So if I understand you correctly, you're saying top management, we treating it as
It's top
yes.
3 class.
Why are you separating it? I'm just asking. Okay. So it's one, I would look at it. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would look at it as follows. This is one diagram. But what's happening in the diagram is we're doing a comparison in terms of the necessary skills required in the different roles in the business. Okay, you see? But however, the diagram is segmented. Maybe we're just saying the same things but with different words. It's segmented in the sense that we are looking at different skills, one, and two, we're looking at different roles. Does it make sense? So skills, obviously, conceptual, interpersonal, and technical. And then obviously the roles. Okay. And so for me, I cannot read top management alone. I read it in comparison with what's happening with the others. And so if this was just top management, it would not, I'd still be able to see that I need more conceptual than interpersonal or technical within that role. But it also doesn't tell me how much more so in comparison to other roles. So this is why I say to me it's one diagram that is then comparing the necessary skills and the level for depth with other roles. So I saw your hand, good sir.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to differ from the previous statement made by
Yes.
our colleague. So I think on the book it says that conceptual skills, these are the mental capacity to view the business and its parts in a holistic manner, and it involves the manager's thinking and planning. Meaning, in some ways, he's correct that the workers have less conceptual involvement in the company.
Yeah.
And then the second one says the interpersonal skills are also called human relation skills.
Yes.
It refers to the ability to work with people. So they say these skills help managers to understand and communicate with people and to lead and motivate and develop team spirit, isn't it? So in some sense, we
Don't
could
you
say
just
that-
want to do the technical focus as well?
Oh, yeah,
So we don't have to read it.
They
Yeah.
say the technical skill, this is the ability to use the knowledge or techniques of a particular disciple, and the knowledge of accountancy or engineering or economics is an example of a technical easy-by task. Managers at the lower level, in particular, should have sufficient knowledge of the technical activities they have to supervise. However, the time spent on technical activities increases as managers move up the manager ladder, where conceptual and analytical skills seem too important, actually more important. So I feel like they're saying, Warren, the more you move up the corporate ladder, your technical activities they reduce.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Because I need to, maybe as a worker, as a worker, your job is to let's say you are involved in putting a pen together. When you move along the corporate world, you move from putting the pen together to now going to that room where they say you have to design for the pen.
For the progress of how the pen gets done, someone else is actually going to put it together, but you have designed the process. We're going to use factories, we're going to use AI, and maybe we won't even use laborers.
And then they're saying where conceptual and analytical skills are actually more important.
Okay.
So it means when you move here at the top management,
Yes, sir.
I'm putting more decisions into the business. And the ability to work with people has to increase because now you are dealing with different, you are holding different what's called the subsections, meaning different departments.
So you're actually saying you agree with it?
Isn't that so?
Because that's what you were saying.
Is that so?
Because you just said that the conceptual skills it increases you go up the corporate ladder. Oh,
If it's like that, then I agree.
then you agree with it. Yes, sir.
So then you put it into simple terms.
Please.
As a worker, you go into your job, you work with your hands. You're there assembling an engine for a car or welding together the body panels for the car. That's the workers' role. They don't have to think about it. They just do it because they're part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
And as they move up the corporate ladder, as our colleague pointed out, is that you work less with your hands, but with more with your mind, thinking how can we make the manufacturing process more efficient by replacing the laborers with robots, or you get what I mean. So,
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. You all agree? Is the graph now making more sense?
Yeah.
We all understand it now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a vice versa.
Hey, again, it's what?
Vice versa.
It's vice versa.
Yeah.
It should be it should be the other way.
Yeah.
Why you say that? And this is why I stopped here to have a discussion, to unpack this thing.
Because in my opinion,
Yes.
the work, I'm just looking at the way they act with them.
Uh-huh.
The worker has so like wage and like you really know impact. All you're doing is just creating a product. That's so you don't have to go like this because the further you go up, the more problems you deal
The more.
with. Problems you deal with.
So you're saying this side should have more technical. Is that what you're saying? Because but you're saying it should be this way, isn't it? Should. No. So basically, which skill are you saying should be more on the top management?
Yes.
Conceptual, but conceptual is.
But it's just the fact that it's facing down, it just
Also, you mean that they should have just tilted this thing, but then put conceptual here where technical is.
nah.
just like the whole thing, man.
Like you see,
I'm gonna start asking you to draw.
from this to this.
So the left side is the right side of the thing, so
Yes.
the bottom, the left side goes to the top, so it's literally like this.
Okay, but now here's my question then. Are you saying the proportions should still be the same? So we should still have conceptual at top management and the greatest portion. And interpersonal still taking up the same amount and technical still taking the smallest. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Never mind. Wait.
I've seen his hand up for a while. Let me just take his hand.
I agree with what you're saying,
Yes?
that it should be this way. However, conceptual should come to technical.
Uh-huh.
Because our brains make sense of what's important at the top, less important at the top.
Okay.
Now, when the technical is at the top of this, it's as if the workers are actually doing the top management. I know in terms of and technicality, in terms of filming, but the truth of the matter is, how to speak jobs, you wouldn't have happened. And so the concept needs to be at the top, but replace the technical piece there. Then you will next.
So you're agreeing that it's just the design of the product, but in terms of the proportions you're happy. I just want to hear your comment.
So another good example would be the idea of the military, military structure. If you think about it, the workers of a business are, well, the soldiers. They're out there, they're taking orders. They're the ones doing the fighting, technically. And you get lower management, which are your colonels and your majors. They're in charge of the workers, the soldiers in battalions, and they need both technical, they need to know how to fight, but also know how to strategize and lead. Middle management, that's your generals. They're not always there in the field with your soldiers, but they still know how to fight. But their main role is to strategize the next phase of an operation. Then you get top management, your field marshals, your top brass. Basically, they don't fight at all. They're never seen on the field at all, apart from being in the tent 5 miles away in a safe position. And their role is only mental. only strategy and where to place soldiers. That's the field marshal's role.
Before the war, not
Strategize and advance. There you go.
Thank you for that, sir. Is your hand up?
That's fine.
Okay, yes. So guys, I hear you in terms of, you can do the same diagram 1,000 different ways. But all that I want you to take away is the fact that as workers and lower level management, we need more technical skills because we are actually engaged in the work. Does that make sense? Okay?
Yes, sir.
We don't do much conceptualizing. We don't do much planning because the plans are given to us. Does that make sense? All right. The higher you go up, the more conceptualizing is going to take place. Okay. Right. And then obviously, wherever you are at, you need interpersonal skills because obviously we're either working in teams, all right, or we're leading teams. Does that make sense? Okay. But yeah, I think we have nicely exhausted that diagram. All right, so pay attention to your diagrams. Make sure you understand them because it's very easy for us to, especially like in the test or the exam, just give you a diagram and then say, speak to the diagram, so many marks, all right, depending on how much information is being held in that. And then here now, they're just talking about, interpersonal role, okay? All right, they're talking about decision-making role, right? And then obviously information role. Okay, the roles of managers, okay? And these are the things that they obviously are doing with respect to those roles, okay? But with that said, I think we should definitely take a break before we bet. Let's be back at 2 minutes to